Hey guys, welcome to Streak Initiative, your daily dose for some important MCQs related to your prelims 2021. And again, we are doing economics this week. So we'll have economics today, tomorrow, and next week what we're going to do is we're going to start with science and tech and some questions from your defense current affairs. Before I get started, remember to register to the Streak Initiative page. You can access a lot of different material which is related to your current affairs, RSTV, burning issues, and mentor call as well. So let's move on to the very first question of the day. What you can do is whenever you see this question, just pause the video one, attempt the question, and then check what explanation I give so that it's like a practice for you as well. So the first question here is talking about agricultural infrastructure fund. Again, this initiative is also very important because there have been a lot of steps taken by the government to increase the infrastructure needs and investment into the agriculture. The very first statement here is that it is a short-term debt financing facility. Second is APMCs are beneficiary of this fund. And lastly, the third sentence is the final authority to sanction loans under the fund is with bank after checking the details and viability of the project. So a bit about this particular fund. So in this particular question, the answer is actually B. So you have your second and third statement which is correct. The first statement is not correct. So your answer was B. Hope you were able to attempt that correctly. A bit information about this particular fund is, see, it is not a short-term fund. It is a medium-term fund. It is a long-term fund taking care of the infrastructural needs of the agricultural sector. Also, like in the second statement, it says that APMCs are beneficiary. Along with APMCs, even the farmers, the FPOs, that is the farmer producer organizations, the cooperative societies, self-help groups, a lot of different kind of elements, agricultural entrepreneurs, everything, all the startups even can take benefit out of this particular fund. The idea here is that the investment should flow into certain kind of viable projects that are there in case of post-harvest management. Like it could be related to some storage, the logistics, the supply chain. So all those ideas is basically dealing with this fund. So there is also a kind of guarantee that is being provided for these particular funds, which is by Credit Guarantee Fund. If you've heard about this particular fund, if you've not, you can Google that as well. So these guys also provide the kind of credit guarantee which is given for this particular fund. So and last sentence is yes, the banking is the last sanction. The banks are the last sanctioning authority, and they obviously will check the viability of any loan that they are going to sanction. So yeah, I think whenever you read any kind of fund, again, the basic idea to look into is the beneficiaries that get benefit out of it, what is the working principle behind it, and what is that particular fund aimed at. Whether it's a short term, long term, and what kind of funding it's involved in. So that is very important. The next question of the day is related to Employee State Insurance Corporation of India. So this is this topic related to labor is also very important because recently we had the labor laws which were amended. So this kind of topic with respect to social security and labor related is important. Do look into all the current affairs that is related to it. So this question is basically about this particular body. So the first statement is that it is a statutory corporate body established under the Act of Parliament, and second is that it's an autonomous body under the Ministry of Labour and Employment. So the answer is both are correct, that is C here. See, ESIC is actually made under an act which is ESCI Act only, that is in 1948 it was made. So pretty early kind of a act which deals with and this particular body actually deals with your social security measures, like it makes sure that all the worker who are working in a company They are given benefits, social security benefits like money for sickness, maternity leave, death, disablement. So all kind of social security payment is made here. Now again, there's this benchmark that is being provided that certain people who are getting around 15,000 a month, below that they can be part of this particular scheme, and also they should not get benefit from other kind of government related other schemes. So this is basically dealing with the people who are in the lower strata of industries and everything, so that they also get that kind of social security. So yes, it was made under an act, and yes, this body actually works under Ministry of Labour and Employment. So yeah, this in this question, both the statements are right. Third question that we're talking about is, okay, the 3 farm bills that was sanctioned by the government also, you have to look into what they're dealing with also, because they were in a lot of news. Even in this session of Parliament, there was a lot of talk about these bills and about the farmer protests. So I have a general idea about these bills. This is also an important topic. So this question in particular is dealing with farmer empowerment and protection and agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Service Act 2020. So the first statement here is that a farming agreement cannot be entered for sale, lease or raising of any permanent structure in the land of the farmers, right? So this is basically talking about farming agreement with respect to certain permanent structures in the agricultural sector. Second is, if a farmer fails to honor his commitment as per the farming agreement, recovery can be initiated against the land of the farmer. And third is that the block development officer will function as a subdivisional authority in deciding the disputes under the farming agreement. So basically the idea here is that you should know how this particular act is working. So when we're talking about price assurances and agreement, you should know what all things can be included in that agreement and what things are kept as an exception. Especially grievance related things. They were actually one of the biggest concern of the farmers. So that is also important, how the grievances is going to be taken care of, who is heading that committee and everything, right? So this the idea of dispute resolution is very important, because that is one issue that farmers were continuously pointing it out. So the first statement here is in fact right, and the answer is actually A, because only the first statement is right here. Second and third are not wrong. Let's look into how. So the first statement is right, because see, any kind of permanent structure cannot be brought into an agreement. This is like a safeguard that has been provided to the farmer community, so that the land and everything is taken care of, right? So this and even if there's an agreement that is being the farmers are trying to put into, it cannot be done without the sponsor agrees to remove any kind of structure with original condition at his cost. So so the basic idea here is that the agreement here makes sure that farmer does not lose out on any kind of permanent structure if he or she is getting into any kind of agreement. The second statement is wrong here, because see, you cannot directly have a recovery. You cannot directly go and start a recovery against a farmer. That is not how the act is going to work. So there's going to be a conciliation board that is going to be set up, and after whatever judgment that conciliation board provides, or whatever agreement that conciliation board is able to negotiate between two parties, that is how the dispute settlement is going to work. So there is no recovery method directly, like they cannot just take over whatever elements of farmers or the property of farmer that is there. So that is not that is not there. There's going to be a conciliation board. And even the third, where we're talking about the block development officer, it does not go to block C. If the cancellation board fails to reach to any kind of negotiation between the two parties, the next step is that it is actually referred to the subdivisional magistrate. And then the dispute is handled at that level. And further, if it's not resolved, then the collector, the deputy collector, all those kind of people come into picture. And that is also within 30 days of whatever order was passed by the cancellation board or the sub-district magistrate. So that is the idea here, that there have been certain times, there's a process that is being provided to make sure that farmer has been given the right to put his pointer across also. There's not immediate recovery that is going to be taken place. There are proper channels. There's a cancellation board, there's sub-district magistrate, then the collector comes into picture. So yeah, by that logic, the answer for this particular question is only the option A. The next question is again related to your labor laws that was brought into picture. So there was this code related to Social Security 2020. So these 4 acts which have been clubbed together, a lot of different like Factories Act, Trade Union Act, all those acts have together been brought into the 4 categories of these laws. So do look into some of the important changes that they've brought about. That is important. So with respect to your code on Social Security 2020, the very first statement here is that the interstate migrant workers have been defined under the Act as only the workers who are working in another state and have been recruited through contractor. Now, if you read this particular statement, you'll actually feel that the statement is very limited. Like, it's limiting the actual definition of what migrant workers is going to be, right? And one of the positive thing that the code on Social Security was aiming for, that get as many people as it can get into that Social Security kind of schemes that are provided. So a definition which is actually restricting your migrant workers will actually be not true. That is like a common sense thing that you can actually derive from this particular question. Because we see a different set of workers, like platform workers, the gig workers, all these are now coming into the picture in the Act. So basic ideology is how do we cover more and more people that are working on the other level, right? So the statement 1 here is actually wrong. It does not work like that. The definition of your interstate migrant workers is much more wider than that, right? So second statement here is that it creates a statutory body called a National Security Board to be headed by Prime Minister. Now this is true. The Act does create a statutory body called National Social Security Board, and I think this particular thing is important because it was something new that was added and it has been asked for a very long time. So this body is important, but this statement is wrong. Why? Because this particular body is not headed by Prime Minister. Now this is important. A lot of bodies, when they are created, they usually ask you the chairman. So yeah, it is not headed by your Prime Minister. The Minister of Labour, of the Ministry of Labour and Employment, is actually the chairman of this particular body. So statement 2 is also wrong. Now third is that the aggregator will provide between 1 to 2% of their annual turnover towards the Social Security Fund for the gig economy workers. Now this statement is right. Yes, they are going to provide 1 to 2% of their funds, and that is how, all the people who are working on the other platform, like the gig economy and the platform workers, they will benefit out of this particular fund, because then the funds will be provided to take care of social measures for these kind of workers as well. So this is a very good initiative, and I think that brings kind of a inclusivity in this particular Act and takes care of the new economic working professions that are being created. So the answer is only third, so that is your B for this particular question. Now let's look at the final question of the day, that it deals with India Energy Exchange, that is IEX, and a lot of different initiatives related to electricity, and that ministry is very important, like You should look into the other bodies like BE is one there, EESL is also one there. So a lot of different bodies that are there, just go through what all initiatives they take care of, that is important. So this particular question we are dealing with India Energy Exchange, and it was in news, so again that is important. The first statement here is that it is a virtual exchange used to trade carbon footprints of industries and discoms. Second is it is launched by Ministry of Environment, and third is that energy saving certificates and renewable energy certificates are the products of IEX. So for this particular question, the answer is actually D. So only third statement is right here, because see, the very first statement is talking about carbon footprints. Now carbon footprints is a completely different concept if you're talking about electricity. So don't confuse the idea of energy exchange with the it being related to environment or something like that. So that is not true. So it actually deals with a lot of electricity related trade. It's like a trade platform, right, in which the electricity related exchange, those kind of things work upon it, right? So statement 1 is wrong, and obviously it's not taken care by your Ministry of Environment. There's no such thing. In fact, a lot of public listed it is actually a public listed company under NSE and BSE. So, and it is actually regulated by your Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. So this is a completely different concept. So statement 1 and 2 are completely wrong here, and I think you should be able to judge that by the name. And the two things that are exchanged, that is energy saving exchange and renewable energy exchanges certificate, is something that works upon this particular exchange. So that is right. In fact, all these certificates, these tradable certificates, were actually the idea under the PAT scheme of BEE, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and PAT is perform, achieve and trade. So these certificates take care of the targets that industry have to meet with respect to conservation and use of renewable energy. So if an industry is not able to meet the target of renewable energy, what they can do is they can buy these certificates and their targets could be met there. Especially important, I think, in case of coal sector and all those areas. So that is the idea here. So yeah, guys, that was the last question for today, and hope this quick revision of some questions can give you that kind of brief video recorded, breaks in your preparation. Just view them in your breaks, revise few topics, and go on with your prelim study. I think that is the best strategy here. Thank you, register like I told you in the beginning, and all the best for your prelims.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civilsdaily.